Hi, friends. I'm chriselda.barretto, a multi genre author and speaker. I thought I'd like to introduce myself before I actually have the release of my new podcast show called The Three Pillars. It should be out in a couple of weeks, so very soon. And I just thought it would be nice if I could do a little test run, giving you an introduction as to who I am and what the show would actually entail. So let me start with telling you a bit about myself. So I write. I'm a writer and author of 9 books. My prior history is I've actually worked in aviation for nearly 20 years, most part of it as a safety instructor, where I actually trained cabin crew on different safety aspects of aviation. Relating to medical emergencies or evacuation procedures, firefighting, the use of different equipment, oxygen, and things like that. So, I had a very interesting career in aviation and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I left aviation, I think, around about 2014. And I think since 2 years now, I've been writing prolifically. I've written a lot of books in different genres, so I like experimenting with different writing techniques. So I've written books in fiction, even non-fiction, in topics relating to horror and romance and narrative poetry, thriller, even children's illustration. So, it's quite varied, my style of writing. But I love poetry, of course, and I consider myself to be more of a poet than a normal storyteller, let's say. You can find all my books on my blog, chriselda.blog. But generally, all my books are available as paperback on Amazon worldwide. And digitally, you can find my ebooks on all the platforms, Kobo and Kindle and whatever you may have there. But all this information is available on my website and blog, chriselda.blog. So go have a look, check it out. I think you'll be quite amazed. You will definitely find something that actually speaks to you there. So I think that's a little bit about me. Let me speak a bit now on the podcast, which will be coming up soon. It is called The Three Pillars, and the name why I actually called it The Three Pillars is because I'm actually going to be dealing with 3 basic categories on the podcast show. And so the 3 pillars stand for 3 definite things that I'll be talking about. So the first pillar actually stands for aviation. The second is self-help, and the third is writing. Now, all these 3 pillars, let's say, or topics play a very relevant, important part in my life, and they still do. And it's because I've actually got a lot of experience and knowledge in these areas that I thought it only, it was only logical that I actually gave this information and this knowledge that I have out to the rest of you, in the hopes that if you are interested in an interesting conversation and gaining more information on any of these topics, that it could be of some help to you. Let me go a bit into detail on each of these topics so that you have a rough idea on what you can expect on the podcast show. So I do intend to have the podcast show weekly. Not for long, let's say around 20 to 30 minutes. And I intend on bringing on different expert guest speakers related to the topic, whether it be aviation or self-help or writing. And I would actually interview them and help them speak on their experience and their viewpoints and actually share their knowledge with you as well. So it would be quite interesting as a listener, to gain this extra asset that they will be giving to you. Let's start with the first pillar, an aviation. I have a huge lineup there, many participants. I won't be able to get all of them right away on the first series at least, but I'm hoping as the series progresses that I definitely have all the speakers on board, so that they can actually have a little talk with me and give you information on them. We will be speaking on different aspects of safety, from health aspects, health dilemmas, to rules and regulations, to the engineering side, to what's actually happening there, to cabin crew and crew life and things like that. But one of the most important things that I think is really necessary to start with in aviation is this new illness that has hit quite a few cabin crew members and flight crew members, is aerotoxic syndrome. Now, if you haven't heard this terminology, you can learn more about it online, or you could actually start as a basis by reading my book, my latest book, which is a non-fiction book called Aviation Stories 1, Dying to Fly. It is the first book, and I intend to actually have a series written on aviation stories, where I'm actually going to be bringing out the lives and stories of different victims and survivors impacted by this illness, aerotoxic syndrome. You will also see as the series progresses that it's not only the life of victims that are coming out with their stories, but it is also going to be other people that have been affected by it. So it could be family members that have had, their sister or their brother affected with aerotoxic syndrome, or an engineer who's worked in aviation for a long time giving his side of what he thinks, how it has impacted his life, even though he doesn't suffer from it himself. But this is all very valuable information that we can actually share with everyone, so that we become more aware. Because I've always thought that creating awareness brings knowledge, and knowledge is power. And once you have that power, you can't be ignorant anymore, and you can actually give your information or share your information and help other people who don't know about it, and guide them, in fact, because if you see your friends are showing certain symptoms of this illness, that you can actually guide them onto the correct sources, and that they can get help, because it can be fatal. So it is quite an important illness. And the first few shows, the episodes that I have on the podcast, I will be interviewing many experts whose lives have been deeply touched by aerotoxic syndrome. We are going to help you see symptoms and ways of dealing with it, and where we are at the moment, where people are concerning aerotoxic syndrome, and how the thought patterns are going to change in the future, and how it's going to impact us on a much wider level. Because at the end of the day, I think aerotoxic syndrome is not only the different contaminated or toxic levels of air that the cabin crew or frequent flyer passengers are breathing on an aircraft, but we have this toxicity entering in our life, not only on an aircraft, but all around us. We have, the sources are breathing sources of food and water that is, we know now, studies are showing, contaminated with various metals and different toxins that are, altering our health. Our health levels. And so a lot of us are falling sick, and then we go to our doctors, and suddenly they don't have an answer for us, or they try to help us, but whatever drugs we are taking, it isn't impacting us like we want to, and we don't show any signs of improving. So we need to understand this toxicity that we have around us, not only in aviation. So it just doesn't impact cabin crew, it can impact all of us, listeners, in trying to understand different symptoms and what they could be related to, and how we can try to work towards a better future of creating more awareness and dealing with these problems. So that's the aviation pillar. You will see that there's loads of information there to be learned, and knowledge that needs to be shared with all of us. And I think it's going to be quite impactful. I find it extremely interesting, being a aviation addict and being in the aviation industry for such a long time. And not only that, I'm quite passionate about it still, because I have a lot of friends that are still in aviation, and I care, that they get help if they are affected by it. But due to lack of knowledge, they don't realize what their body is going through, or what symptoms or sicknesses or issues they have, and they can't come out with it openly. So like I said, read my book, Aviation Stories, Dying to Fly, and keep in touch with the series, because you'll get more information from there as well. But for now, the podcast, so tune into the podcast, and I'm sure you'll be quite amazed at the information that you will gain from those 20 or 30 minutes weekly, that we speak to our guest speakers on the show. The second pillar is self-help. Now, we will be also speaking to a lot of different experts on different topics, on alternative health techniques, alternative health remedies that we can actually look into to actually answer questions that haven't been answered by normal medicine or the general medicine that we are being prescribed right now. So we're going to talk on different aspects of not only physical health betterment, but also mental health issues and how to deal with them. I mean, all of us are living in very stressful situations, in a stressful life. We have work and kids and family, and a lot of pressures put on us by society, and sometimes we work through it and we're just about surviving. But it would be really nice, I thought, if we could actually have a few more tips and tricks that we could use to calm ourselves down, because I think you are your own guru. You know how far you can actually push yourself. You know when it's when you can't bear something anymore, or when you're reaching, let's say, this burnout state where you can't give anymore. And so when you reach that state and you want more information as to how you can help yourself, that's when this podcast will help, because we are going to show you different ways and means to actually treat yourself and better yourself, be it in just being mindful of the way you live, the things you eat, the lifestyle you live daily, or the nutrients that you take in, or the atmosphere around you. Small things that you can initiate to better your life as a whole. So as you see, this podcast is heading, at least I wanted to head in the direction where I help people by sharing knowledge, sharing information in a very fun, calm, relaxed atmosphere. That's my main aim, to help all of you, to give this positivity and help out there, because I do believe if each of us are positive and we reflect this positivity out, it's a ripple effect, and we extend it onto other people around us, onto other situations around us, and hopefully we create a shift in our dimension, in our society, towards a better future, because we all are working towards a better future for the little ones, for the kids, that they have a better life than what we are maybe heading towards, because we know things are going downhill on many aspects of our life. So whichever small way we can help to make life more positive, well, we do that. So this podcast is my way of giving back to the society, of giving back positivity to all of you through information and tips and knowledge. And hopefully you will learn something from it, that we all learn something from it. We re-educate ourselves and make it a better society out there for the young ones, for the rest of us, because we all are in it together, right? So that's the second pillar, self-help. Not only health issues, but looking at things from a more non-traditional way, and also dealing with different self-help ways that you can help yourself towards a better mental philosophy, a mental way of understanding things, thought processes and things like that. So that's the second pillar. And then the last pillar, the third one, is writing, and something I'm really passionate about. And I think I started writing, let's say, a year and a half ago, which I didn't do much of before that. So it's quite recent. But I started writing enormously. And I have to say, since September, was it like September 2018, that I started self-publishing my books, because I had loads of material that I had to, to give my readers the pleasure of actually experiencing. So I started self-publishing, and I've already published 9 books, and I'm working on 5 more. So I am a multi-genre author, so I write in different genres, ranging from fiction, romance, poetry, horror, to non-fiction. And I enjoy it. I mean, I think I've actually found, or I've experienced, healing through creativity, and that's what I would like to share with you as well. So we all know we've got 2 sides of our brains, right? We have like the logical side, and then we have the creative side. Now, I think all of us overuse one side. I mean, most of us, I can't generalize, but most of us overuse the logic side, because you use it every day to work, and to be able to mingle with other people, and work in a team, and work with your family, with your children, and things like that. But what we tend to not use a lot is our creative side. And I think, to be balanced as an individual, it is really important to use both sides, your logical as well as your creative side. So with this podcast, what I will do is, I'm focusing on writing, but it can be any art form that you choose. It could be singing, or let's say painting, or whatever you prefer. But what I'm going to do is speak with different authors, and actually have them tell us about the processes they go through to start writing. I will also share a lot of information on my own experiences with you, and take you through the different stages of writing, as to how you create the thoughts, you create your characters, how you get it down on paper, how you might have certain blocks, obstacles, where you might stop and you think it's not good enough, how you work through it, how you heal, how you find peace through this artistic process that your mind is going through. And then once you've written, and then you format your story, you get it self-published. So I have a lot of experience in self-publishing, so I can really share with you a lot of my experiences and tips that can actually help you if you decide in the future to write and to publish. And it doesn't stop there. I think as a writer and an author, you can write many books, but if you don't know how to market your books after that, that's where it stops. So it's more also about marketing, and how you can market your book correctly, and basically react with your audience and your listener and things like that. So I want to share all of these things with you, and also bring out this aspect of creativity, and how important it is for our mental health, to maintain this positivity in the podcast, that mental health is very important, and all of us give it very little, we give very little time to it. But to be mentally healthy is also extremely important, and creativity is one of the ways of actually improving the way you think, and bringing out your best potential, let's say, your true potential, your calling, whatever it might be. In any case, I think this third pillar would not only help a newbie author, but also somebody who has experienced writing. There would probably be a few tips and tricks that you could also use for the future, or at least that's what we are hoping. But all my guest speakers that I've lined up are really very informative, lovely human beings, and I'm very glad that they actually volunteered to come on my show and to have a little chat with me, so that I can actually share their information, their experiences with you. So that's it. That's a little bit about the show that I plan bringing out soon. My podcast show, The Three Pillars: Aviation, Self Help, and Writing. I'm so looking forward to it, and I hope to see all of you guys there. Please do tune in. It's a weekly thing, so you'll see me once a week for maybe half an hour. I'm pretty sure you can listen to my podcast on your way to work or your way back or while you're brushing your teeth. It doesn't matter. If you have a headset, get it on and just listen to us, have fun, enjoy, relax, and just gain information. Hope you learn, share it with everyone else, and let's create a nice positive shift in our life, in our society, in our close sphere around us. So that's it. If you need to contact me to give me suggestions or comments or things that you'd like me to speak about on future episodes, you could always drop me a mail. My email address is chriselda.barretto at gmail.com. You can also find all my books and more information, and once again contact me on my website and blog called chriselda.blog. What I will do is I'll put all the relevant links in the description of this episode. This is my introduction episode to my podcast. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you all very, very soon. Till then, do take care of each other and yourselves, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.